So as a society, we fundamentally agree that abusing children is wrong. Hitting them, hurting them, breaking their mentalities, creating belief systems that will damage them at later periods in their life, if not for the rest of their lives. And yet, at the same time, we take actions that allow abuse to continue. Now, I want you to watch this video and give it some thought, because what I want to talk about is when we have custody battles that are high conflict and there are kids involved. We may have a mom that is trying to be the mom and replace the dad, or we might have the dad trying to replace the mom, and they're talking trash on one another, and they're putting the kids in between the separation, the divorce. They're trying to convince them that dad or mom was bad and dad or mom is good. Now, when we hear this, we all think that this is terrible, that this shouldn't happen. Don't have the kids in between it. And yet at the same time, if we've ever been in this situation, we know how easy it is to do that. But I want to bring something up here that is a little bit different. See, when we have this and we have social commentary on this, we have advice from a bunch of people on social media that want to sound good, look good, and maybe they experienced this a long time ago, but they're not actually talking from experience. They're saying things like, this is bad and you need to take the high road, you're going to get over this, you're going to get past this, replace yourself with new hobbies, you go girl, you go guy, get strong, all these different things. Yet there's not anybody coming from actual experience with this. And this, if you have been a fan of any of my material, understand that this is my huge pet peeve. See, here's the thing, and here is the point of this video, and what we're going to get into here is if there is a high conflict, divorce, custody battle, any of these things where kids are involved and kids are being played against each other. There's the roots of parental alienation being set. There's all sorts of accusations going back and forth. There's convincing of friends as well as convincing to the kids of the other parent being bad and one being good. You know how we beat this? Not with memes, not with self-help thought, not with encouragement from somebody that doesn't really have responsibility for us getting any better. You know how we fix this? We fix this legally, and we fix it hard. And this is where moms and dads, and especially dads who I talk to, need to get really, really smart about this. Look, I've been helping men with this for 18 years. It might actually be 19 at this point. I do this job every single day. Every single day for 15 years, I have an alive, breathing community of men that has not stopped, that deals with this very thing. Because of that, I see, and the guys in my group see, the actual results of parents talking trash, what this does to kids. At this point, we see the generations of it. I see it in my own kids. And when this happens, we also see a really interesting thing. People get arrogant, people get stupid. In many cases, people break the law. The problem here is for most men who are watching this, they don't understand the law. They think the law is defined by what their friends say or their family says or all these different things, and not actually how they're going to win their custody battle. When somebody is doing this with your children, yes, do not put the kids in between you guys. Do not involve the kids with this. If the kids are asking that mommy says this or whatever the situation is, say, man, I can't talk about that. We're going through some tough times. What I can talk to you about is what we're going to start doing together. And there's a whole bunch of that whole parenting dialogue that you need to have. But once that is over, you need to get legal help and you need to bury them. Now, those are some pretty strong words. How do we bury somebody legally? Well, first and foremost, we need to start understanding that this is a legal battle and it's not an emotional battle. I would highly recommend you watch my free workshops that I made on YouTube in 2021 to help guide you through that. There is a whole video on the legal process, and I should probably redo those things because we just have volumes of men who have gone through our courses and programs since then. And then if you want some extra help, as you know, I have groups and courses and all these different things that I personally, as well as my group, will guide you through. That is in the show notes in the direct me link, and you can hire me for a consult, but I would highly recommend the Rising Man community as the thing that will just make things work. Man, it's affordable. It's super economical, and it'll just save you thousands and thousands of dollars of legal fees. Okay, now that we're past that, You got to realize this is a legal battle. You got to start realizing that there are laws in place, whether you believe it or not. I know you're listening to a bunch of guys online bitching about how screwed up the court systems are. Yes, they're screwed up, but you can win it. And you need to understand how to win it. If you can't afford a lawyer, you need to start understanding the legal process. If you can afford a lawyer and you're doing everything you can to get the money to get the best lawyer, well, then also you need to understand the legal process as well. So either way, you need to understand it. What I would recommend first and foremost to do is go down to the family courthouse. It's free. It's amazing. In Austin, actually, the family courthouse is epic. It's like a beautiful architectural phenomenon. I would start watching some cases. I would see what it's about. I would see that there's a difference between child support and what the attorney general is going to do with you, or I guess depending on whatever state you're in and how it works. I would start understanding that visitation is determined by a few key things. I would start looking at why people lose, why people get destroyed in court, how people get in trouble. Instead of just buying into the, oh my God, this is so unfair, or men get this, or women get that, or whatever the situation is, start looking at how people win, who does their case right. Start looking at how different judges, rule on different things. Now, you're probably watching this going, okay, I'm going to skip this part. Steve, I don't want to go to the courthouse. Okay. I get it. I absolutely get it. But this is the easiest thing that you can do. I get it. It's a pain in the butt. I get it. You have to take time off work. You have to look at their schedule. You have to understand, what's going on, what room to go to. But once you find that out, once you get that out, if I could hold your hand to go down to the courthouse, watch a few cases, don't just go once for an hour, try and go a couple times for an hour. Maybe you go for 2 hours. But if you go a couple times and you figure out where the family courts are, what the different hearings are about and so on, you're going to learn so much. This is also going to introduce you to different ways people practice law. So if you can afford a good lawyer, you're going to see some good lawyers do well. You're going to see some bad lawyers do bad, and you're going to see a mix of that too, meaning good lawyers doing poorly and bad lawyers doing well and getting lucky. You're going to see people representing themselves. You're going to see what they did right and wrong. And here's another thing too. This is really interesting. If you see somebody represent themselves or a lawyer do something really well, you can go up to them afterwards and say, what did you do? Or better yet, if this probably won't happen, but if there's somebody available that's like one of the attorney generals or any of these different people in the court structure and they're familiar with a certain case, they're not going to be able to discuss the particulars of it, but they can start telling you what might be better in your situation, or you say you have a similar situation and so on. Man, it is a win-win. Go down there. I wish I could hold your hand and have you do that. That is fundamental. Whether you can afford a lawyer or not, if you want to understand the law, that's going to do it. The next thing that you can do is go to your county's website. Now, you're also going, man, Steve, where's the cookie cutter thing for me to win my case? Where's the thing where I don't have to think and I get the right tool and the right tool makes me win? No. You're going to have to do things somewhat the hard way. So you can go to your county's website. You can also go down to the courthouse and go to the county clerk's office and ask them the paperwork you would need for these types of things. I think this is important for anybody that can afford attorneys, legal representation or not, because it allows you to know the process and allows you to correct mistakes if your attorney makes them. Now, that all being said, how do we get this ball moving? Fundamentally, I think one of the other important things to do is to start interviewing attorneys. Yeah, everybody looks at their Yelp reviews and all that sort of stuff. Look, it's a lot more tricky than that. If you have a lot of property to deal with, you call the different legal offices and you ask if they are familiar with property and property tax and, have the division of that and high contention with these types of things. If there's kids involved, you ask those questions. If there's false abuse allegations and these types of things, you ask about that. If there are personality disorders, like you think she's a narcissist or whatever, you ask about that. Have you been in cases? Have you been in trials where this has happened in the last year? You want to ask that, and you want to be prepared to talk to your attorney about those things rather than just vomit out the hysteria there. This brings me to this last thing, and there's so many things, and in this video we'll try and keep it shorter, but this last thing that is super important is you need to realize you're not thinking your best. And that's not an insult towards you. If you are going through this, you are not going to be thinking your sharpest. You are going to be high stressed. You're going to be leaning in all these different directions. You're going to be the most crazy you've ever been. And your ex-partner, soon to be ex-partner, is as well. You need to understand this. And people do a lot of crazy things. This is why you need a support system. You have to have it. Write this down. Again, if I could hold your hand to a support system, I would do it. Now, I have my support system. Look at it. It is helpful. It works. It's existed longer than anything else out there. It works. It saves money. It helps guide guys. It's not a magic wand. It's not like a one and done. Here, you have your problem solved now. We work with you through it, and it's crazy. It is very hard. It's a hard process. You're in a hard process. But if my group is not right for you, you need to get people around you that are not yes men, that are not just your family, that are not people who are going to give you cheap advice. You need to get people who have been through this, who will stand through the whole thing. Super important, okay? So I'll make another video for this, but man, we need to start stepping it up as guys fundamentally in how we win our cases. If you're curious about this video and where it was recorded, it's recorded directly from my interaction on our calls that happen, well, for divorce guys, 4 days a week. If you're in other groups, they will happen 6 or 7 days a week. We have a huge community of men that work towards this and many different things. It's not just divorce and custody. It moves to every single problem that men go through in our modern culture, and we take time solving it. If you're interested in that, once again, the direct me links are down below, and we will talk to you guys soon. Stay strong, men.